The rock group Kiss has had some really great songs in their 5 decades-long career. And unfortunately, some of their songs really don't fit on the albums they're on. One of those songs, you might ask? Well, stick around because I'm going to go through 7 of the most egregious and why they simply don't fit. All of that coming up. As many of you know, I'm a pretty big Kiss fan. Obviously. But that doesn't mean that I fall in lockstep with every musical decision they make. No, really. So while listening to some of their albums, it's hard not to notice the odd man out in the track listings. That one song on the record that you wonder how it even got there. And I should mention that this isn't necessarily a list of bad Kiss songs. I actually like a lot of these songs, at least some of them, but I just don't think they fit on their respective albums, in terms of flow, but also general style and sound. So with that, let's get to the tracks. First up is Kissin' Time from their debut album here, 1974. The label put this song on the record pretty much without the band knowing or wanting it on there. The band originally recorded the song as sort of a promotional thing, and it did end up on a single as well, but they never dreamed it would get put on the record, which of course it did 5 months into its pressing. If you have a pressing of this record without Kissin' Time, you should probably hang on to it. It's worth a little bit. And it probably doesn't help matters that the song is a Bobby Rydell song from 1959. It really doesn't fit on this album at all, and it seems weird juxtaposed against songs like Deuce and Cold Gin and Nothing to Lose, topically or otherwise. Yeah, definitely strange. Next up is Let Me Go Rock and Roll. This is from Hotter Than Hell, Kiss's second record, also from 1974. The song was penned by Gene and Paul, so they can't claim outside writers to blame. It was rejected from the first album, interestingly enough, so they tossed it on here. I don't know, was it an afterthought? Was it a last-minute inclusion? Not really sure. This is the single for this album, which is really surprising, though the single itself did fail to chart, so there's that. You know, I am wondering, though, if Let Me Go Rock and Roll would have been a better inclusion on, say, their MTV Unplugged album, maybe as an acoustic version. Maybe the song would have sounded better there, not really sure. But if they wanted a real single for this album, they should have gone with Parasite on the A-side and Watchin' You on the B-side. In fact, I think I'm absolutely correct on that. But, you know, fight me in the comments if you disagree. It's fair to say that quite a few of these songs are going to be cover songs, which is funny because Kiss has good cover songs. I think of 2000 Man from Dynasty, I think of King of the Nighttime World from Destroyer, and even Hide Your Heart from Hot in the Shade is a cover song. But the one on here just really doesn't cut it. Of course, I'm talking about And Then She Kissed Me. It's the final track on Love Gun here, 1977, of course. It's a cover from the 1963 girl group known as the Crystals, except Paul switches the genders. As if Paul hasn't switched genders before. I mean, there's no mistaking this track sticks out like a sore thumb on this album, especially when you think of other tracks on the album, such as Love Gun and Christine 16, which aren't exactly anthems to wholesomeness. So, yeah, pretty funny. Basically just a goofy idea for inclusion. I don't know why it's here. And if one outdated cover song wasn't enough, here's another one. The song is Any Way You Want It, originally done by the Dave Clark 5 back in 1964. It is on side 4 of this record. If you don't know about Live 2, from 1977, by the way, 3 sides live, 1 side studio. And I'm guessing they did this because they might have not had enough unique material, differing it from Alive for the live stuff for Live 2, so they filled side 4 with studio tracks instead. I'm pretty good with the other studio songs on here. I like All American Man quite a bit. Rocket Ride, of course, is a classic. But Any Way You Want It just really doesn't fit. It's a bit hokey. It's a bit old-fashioned. It could be easily done by a barbershop quartet or maybe a TV commercial jingle. I don't know. It's hokey and it just doesn't belong. Hell, I'll take Rockin' in the USA over this song, and believe me, that's saying something. So yeah, Music from the Elder is a pretty odd album, so you should expect equally odd songs on it. And I do, and I like a lot of this album. I don't diss it at all. But really, there's that one song that really sticks out. And I think we all know as Kiss fans that that song is Odyssey. I mean, if A World Without Heroes is a tad sappy, Odyssey is a full-blown mush fest. And no surprise here, Odyssey is a cover song. It was originally done by Tony Powers. Tony Powers was an early innovator of music videos. He did a few back in the early 80s. He called them music films for some reason. One of the ones he produced had Odyssey in it. Paul heard the track, he initially liked it, and so they covered it. So as I said, Paul chose the track, but then he regretted doing it. He said that in later interviews. Also, Eric Carr is not doing drums on this track at all. And the funny thing is that Gene Simmons wanted to do the vocals for this song first, then probably changed his mind later, or Paul simply insisted, who knows. But can you imagine Gene Simmons singing Odyssey? How freaking weird would that be? Whew. And at long last, a break from the cover songs. This is Partners in Crime on the Killers album here, which is an otherwise greatest hits album. There are 3 other then new songs, mostly written by Paul Stanley, definitely performed by Paul Stanley. Partners in Crime was co-written by Adam Mitchell. I've talked about Adam Mitchell before. He was a co-writer for Kiss. He wrote on 4 different albums, including this one. So Ace Frehley wasn't even recording with Kiss by this point, so he's definitely not on this track, and probably is really glad that he isn't. It really is the weakest of the 4 tracks. Stylistically, it doesn't fit. It feels like filler, but if you love the song and you disagree with me, let me know in the comments for sure. And back to the covers. God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2 is on this album. This is Revenge from 1992. The song was originally done by Argent, and the difference with God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2 is there's some lyrical changes, but there are also some added musical elements. But it's basically the same song, more or less. What should be the first sign that this song really doesn't fit on Revenge is that it wasn't even written for Revenge. It was written for the 1991 comedy film Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. It's on that soundtrack. And that version is slightly different, but not too much. So it wasn't even written for this album. That pre-album single actually did pretty well, which is probably why they threw it on here, but it breaks the flow of this record entirely, egregiously, to use that word again. So I don't know, maybe if they had saved it for an album like, I don't know, Psycho Circus, I think maybe it would have fit on that album a little bit. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you think it would or somewhere else, because it really doesn't belong on Revenge. It just doesn't. Now, I know there are probably other Kiss songs that don't belong on their respective albums, but instead of going through a long list of those, I'm going to put it to you. Let me know in the comments what songs you think don't fit on the respective albums, or even where they should go. Maybe you've got another Kiss album you think they should go to. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Other than that, remember to like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to see our content up to 7 days early, along with some other benefits, you should check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Accusation Network. And of course, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.